It is said that ignorance is bliss, but there's something within us, deep within, that knows. And the more in touch that we become with that, the closer we get to the center of calmness. Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Center of Calmness. We are super blessed tonight to be with Shelley Astrop. Welcome, Shelley.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us. Now, as I understand it, you're calling in tonight from the Indian Himalayan mountains.
That's correct. Top of the world.
Top of the world, right? Yeah, we are in. I'm basically on the ocean front in comparison, right? A hurricane can hit me in less than 20 minutes, coming in from Houston, Texas. So I'm a little bit jealous of the high ground at this point. But as I understand it, you made your tour there all the way from Montreal. I wonder if you might share with us how you ended up in the Himalayas.
Oh, absolutely. When I was, it was the mid-1970s, and I was teaching elementary school. And my husband came home one day. He was in graduate school, and he said that he saw a sign on the university wall, and it said, "Improve your marks, learn to meditate." And I thought, oh, well, if it could help him, and I was teaching in the inner city, I was teaching grade 2, I thought, well, let's see what it does with the children. Now, in that time, meditation was not known as any kind of pedagogical technique, but I spoke to my principal about it, and he gave me the okay to give it a try. So I did it 3 days a week, and I had a school psychologist come, and we documented it. And we noticed that at the end, when we tested the children, they usually in the inner city had tested lower, and that class had tested on par with the other schools. And I remember joking with my principal, and I said, I think meditation made those kids smarter. And we just laughed. And during my years of being an elementary school teacher, I always incorporated some form of quiet meditation time, very small, 10 minutes. And I noticed that their concentration levels really improved. So I went on to graduate school and became a curriculum specialist. And that was when I met a group of people meditating, and I went and I saw a picture of their teacher, and I had the most profound sense of calm inside me. And it felt like I had seen my true home. And I knew in that moment that that was the purpose of my life. And it took many years. I mean, I still stayed on in Montreal, and I worked, and I had a family, and then eventually, slowly, I wanted to incorporate and learn more about this science and philosophy on how to create that sense of calm, that sense of peace inside myself, because it's actually a process that you can bring into your life. So I came and I studied for many years. And in fact, having been a curriculum specialist and then studying meditation and many of the Vedanta scriptures, I studied Vedanta philosophy and the Bhagavad Gita and whatnot, I created, I wrote a book for teaching children meditation and the yoga sciences like breath and sound and all kinds of games and activities and hatha yoga. And I incorporated that with a bunch of lovely stories that have powerful themes. So that's been my journey. And now I started teaching meditation classes online. So it's been a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, and especially in the modern day when almost everyone is online, to be able to add your wisdom and techniques to the mix, I'm sure is very rewarding, both for you as well as for your audience. That's great.
Yeah. And
So,
I'm I'm just thinking that this uh, coronavirus that's happening, there's a blessing in it as well. That people from around the world are coming together. So as difficult as it is, there's always some gift in there.
absolutely so. Yes, I've seen folks get in touch, and I've seen folks get back in touch with their humanness, right, and the human connection a
Yeah.
lot more readily now. Whereas I feel that before, say, February, March this year, we were all in a rush, right, trying to get some things done, and it was more about what it is we were doing rather than who
Yeah.
we were doing it for. So that's been a
Exactly.
huge shift, and yeah, I agree with you. We're almost worldwide, right? That it's almost like the global consciousness is seeing a slow but steady shift back toward where we came from.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
if I could ask a little bit more about your meditation training, I understand that you have some advanced certificates or degrees, specifically in meditation and the meditation sciences.
Yes. The meditation that I do, um, I call it knower meditation because the English word for like your inner self or your I, in Sanskrit they would call it Atma or Chaitan or Brahm or even Turiya. These, it's all the same word, but in English, to say the one inside you that knows. So it just makes it easier. So I'm just calling it a knower meditation. And what it is you have to distinguish between that which changes and that which doesn't change. So what changes is your mind. Everything about, because your mind receives all the input from your senses, and what watches your mind is your knower, and it's watching the changes. So if you see your mind as a camera, and like your camera can record on your cell phone, you wherever you put your camera, that's what you see. But uh, the quality of the camera is that it can't know beyond itself, meaning that the camera can't know the photographer. The camera can't know the one who is taking the picture. So
Sure.
the mind, being a mechanism of the human nervous system and receiving the input from the senses, it can't know the one who is looking behind it. And that is the knower. So if you let your mind go, take you like the camera in different directions, it will always go with your habit or it will go with your desires. But if you're going with your inner self, its nature is intelligence and bliss and delight. Like that's who you are behind that. And so when you go with your knower, you're always going for your well-being. It may be your habit and it may be your desire, but it will definitely be for your well-being. So it gives you a choice rather than being on a habitual track.
Interesting. So, if I could ask a question, then, let's say that I'm not just following what some would call a subconscious program, and not just in a habit state, unaware, and just kind of going through the motions, or say, for example, when one drives through traffic and doesn't remember where they've been for the last 20 minutes, not present. If I'm fully present, Well, actually, kind of like right now, where we're fully present here having this conversation, and there's very little automatic going on. We're definitely connected.
Yeah.
Is that mind that I feel, or is
Um,
that knower, or both?
it would, well, behind the mind is the knower. It's kind of like saying, if I'm sitting here, is my ear here and my toe also?
Okay,
It's
okay.
it, it's all of you. So your
I,
mind is present, but who is in the driver's seat? Is it um, when you were saying that you were not in that sort of conscious state of driving the car, your knower is never not with you because your knower is you. It's that authentic you. So it will take care of you. It's your mind that will come up and say, oh, we'll turn here and there. But we can use our mind rather than letting our mind kind of run us amok.
interesting. So it's a matter of who's in charge. That's curious.
Exactly.
Huh, okay, right. And so, for a lot of folks in the audience and myself as well, who might not be familiar with how to choose between the mind or the knower, how does one become more familiar with the knower as a separate but present entity in
Oh,
ourselves?
yeah. That's just fabulous question. When we meditate, we'll close our eyes, and we don't have to meditate for long periods, especially at the beginning. But if you close your eyes and you just let the senses settle down. Now, the senses aren't going anywhere. Like when you go to sleep, you don't lose your senses. They just go quiet. So we do this in meditation. You just close your eyes so that all the kind of input that's coming at you, um, it's not attracting the mind. So the mind will still have the memory and the thoughts happening inside. And there are many techniques. It's breath or mantra, but another simple technique is just wait. And sometimes a thought could be whirling. If you can watch it instead of being in the thought, like instead of thinking I am the thought, if you could pull back and watch the thought as if it's a cloud and you're the sky, and whatever comes will go. And so the thoughts can only stay for so long, and you just watch the settling down, and your nervous system begins to settle down. And then you can place your attention on who's watching, and that's you. That's yourself. It's very simple because it's who you are. And you
Wow.
can watch the breath.
Connect oneself. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like if you
Interesting, but
think
profound. I think difficult for many to do.
well, I would recommend then that what you do is you close your eyes and you watch your breath. And you breathe in and then you breathe out. But before you breathe in, and after you breathe out, there's this little pause. And that little pause is what changes the direction from going in breath, out breath, in breath, out breath. There's this little pause, it's called kumbhak. And if you could just place your attention on the pause before you breathe out, pause, breathe in, pause. What happens is the mind is connected, the thoughts in the mind and the functioning of the mind is connected to the breath. So, like if you get excited or something, you'll see your breathing is rapid, or if you're scared. And if you're calm, your breathing goes deep and quiet. So the body and the mind respond to your outside happenings, but you can use your breath conversely to quiet the functioning of your mind. So if you just watch And then you place your attention on who's watching, who's the breather of that. And that again is you. Or if you
Wow.
do mantra, it's always you. And that you will always be for your well-being. And it will carry you through anything because it's who you are underneath it all. So if you think about like being a child, and as you grow up and you went through high school and then being an adult and all that that entails, if you remember back to being a child, and if somebody showed you a picture of you at 2 or 3 years old, nothing about that picture of who you were is the same. The body has changed, the mind has changed, your interests have changed, your situations have changed, everything has changed. But the one who knows without a shadow of a doubt that that was me is the same me now throughout. That me doesn't change. And if you get in touch with that me, that is the same inner being. It's the authentic you.
That
And
is
then
super
you're
profound.
golden.
Yeah. Now I'm starting to get a picture of it. And yeah, so and therein starts the journey. And I'm thinking that based on how you explained that, that would help me understand why you chose to work primarily with children, right? Even though you had taught children before, why you continue to
Yes.
primarily consider children as your audience to help them get in touch with the knower sooner.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then I advanced to adults.
Right?
But
Maybe the
it's
adults
true
are
that was
advanced in finding you.
exactly.
Yeah, realizing where they came from. And the fact that
Yeah.
there's always a part of us that think that realizes, I think that there's a part of us that never really grows up, and I think that's a glimmer of understanding of what you're speaking of. Although the concept of something within us that never changes throughout our entire life that's quite profound.
Yes. Because in a child, they're not covered yet as much with all that the life situations put on them. And it's not that those are bad things, and they're necessary things. But what happens is the outside becomes more important, and we forget who we are, who's taking the journey, and we become the journey rather than the one taking the journey. And
Mm.
and if we can get back to that, we can actually steer our car away from calamities and into places we want to be, because your knower is you. And the more you're in touch with it, the more you can go in the place that will serve you the best. It's
And
very cool.
yeah, absolutely. That's a level of control that I think most never even think about experiencing, let alone realize how to. If I might ask for say a senior student, if you will, someone who has studied with you for some time, what kind of results do you find that they experience once they get in better touch with the knower?
Um, I do find that they become, dare I say it, grounded in joy.
Excellent. What a
Because
result.
worlds, like, things come. We can't help and control anything that comes at us. That absolutely will always happen. But what we can do is we can um, control, or it's not even control. We can help how we respond. We can see a silver lining all the time, and we can get over the calamities much more rapidly. Like something that might have upset me for a couple of months, I tend to be upset an hour less. Like, it speeds up the process because you have the tools to work with.
Right.
It's
And
a,
a sense,
yeah,
an understanding of the foundation and how to return to it.
exactly,
Right. And how to
exactly.
return it. I
Yeah,
guess in a way of speaking, it's returning to yourself.
that's exactly what it is.
That's
That's exactly what it is,
learning
and
tons
it's
here in a few minutes. This is awesome.
you know, I mean, we're live, so I could just say this. I'm having a free class on Saturday.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah, I know Eastern time is 10:30, so I don't know what that means. I get all mixed up with the times.
Yeah, that's okay. It's only an hour behind. So here it would be 9:30.
And it's on my website under classes. It's a free class.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
an introduction to meditation. So
That's
I should
perfect.
have mentioned. Yeah, yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
fun.
no, this is the perfect time. Yeah, because our show is coming to a close here from a time frame perspective. But I can show your contact information here. Shelley Estroff on Knower, KNOWER.ca is the website. And you also have a Facebook. Is it a Facebook page or a group?
It's a business page.
A Facebook business page called
Yeah,
the Knower Curriculum.
yeah.
So this is where folks out there in the audience, either on video or later on via audio, can reach out to Shelley for more information and to begin this practice of getting closer to ourselves. Super
That's been
awesome.
wonderful. Thanks. You've been amazing. Thank you. I've had such a good time.
Anyway, Shelley, I really appreciate you joining us today. This has been totally awesome and I think super informative for the audience. So I do hope that many will come your way, and you never know, I might show up in your class at some point.
You're most welcome.
Thank you so much. And for the Center of Calmness, I'm DK Warner.